Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Reliability Game podcast. I have Pablo here, reliability champion of SKF with me. How you keeping, Pablo?
Hello. Nice to be here. I'm really happy, really excited of being here in the Accelerate conference. Learning a lot, sharing with other people that is working the same field like you. So we are really happy of being here.
Look, I did my level 1 at SKF. I did my level 2 at SKF. So I love the guys at SKF, man. I've got a lot of love for you guys. And like SKF for me is the epitome of reliability in terms of bearings. When everyone talks about bearings, it is always SKF. It's always the number one. To be able to maintain that level of reliability is difficult, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? And I think sometimes to be able to keep that legacy going is also, but how do we also ensure that we're reliable in our plants when we're manufacturing the most reliable? So you have to kind of practice what you preach. I really loved your presentation the other day about kind of how e-maintenance helped you kind of standardize everything. But also within that presentation, you mentioned the 10 steps also that are so important to maintenance excellence that you guys at SKF have actually produced. Can you elaborate to the viewers kind of what them 10 steps kind of are and how and why it's so important that we also follow these steps and terminology, not just only look at kind of how the CMMS works, but everything around it?
Yeah, well, the maintenance excellence 10 systems, first of all, maintenance excellence is under the umbrella of the SKF production system. The SKF production system has several systems inside, like quality, material flow, for example, how we manage the human resources. So there are several systems. And maintenance excellence is one of the stability systems that we have.
Yeah.
So as you were saying before, no, how to keep that legacy in the time, no? Because maybe we see a lot of companies implementing something and sometime later everything was falling down. So how to keep this in a good way and always working the same way in all the factories. SKF is a company that is around the world, like in more than 100 locations, and we have more than 81 factories. Wow. So how to standardize that, working everybody in the same way? So maintenance excellence comes up 2014, more or less. Maintenance excellence, to see it in the general overview, is a mix between the Japanese original TPM school, and the reliability centered maintenance, which is where SKF is, let me say, one of the pioneers of implementing that in the using that for bearings. And think about that, SKF was working implementing condition monitoring since the 90s.
So early, I mean,
yeah.
But when I first was at my first company, Eric's, we used micrologs.
Yeah,
we used Aptitude, we used IMX systems. I'll be honest, SKF at the time there was widely used by lots of different people in the condition monitoring world, and it was also really prevalent because they created this off the back of the reliability of the bearings and making sure that we can identify the problems early and try to rectify the course of action before we get to the failure. So SKF for me has always been really kind of advocate for condition monitoring, and it's kind of where I first started with it as well. How is it, you've got 81 factories, you're in all these different places around the world. How do you deal with the cultural changes of being able to implement the same thing? And obviously you're going to have challenges with it, but what would you give any advice for anyone who's out there who's looking to be able to maybe make multiple changes across different parts of the world? How do we communicate that so it's effective and it's a solution?
Well, there are different ways. First of all, having a system. That is super important. You've got to have
a system first,
Yeah. Having a system and working in a standardized way and trying to support all the factories in the same way. Trying to lead the factories to do everybody the same way, because we want to have a standardized maintenance management system. And there is where e-main plays the role as well, no? But coming back to your questions, there are many ways. One way is communicating a lot with the people, trying to be also on site, supporting the people there. Because if the people all the time sees you from a camera, and the people doesn't feel the engagement, no? So one is being close to the people, supporting them. They acknowledge that you have the knowledge to support the maintenance journey. Because if you implement it, if you are only a theoretical guy, they will not follow you. Okay?
Yeah, they need to have the trust, don't they?
Of course. So when the people start to trust in you, then comes the good communication. We have a SharePoint that is called Maintenance Excellence Community, where we have more than 400 people from SKF being part of this community. And we have every quarter, we have a meeting where we have normally 100, 120 persons that are attending this presentation where we present different stuff. For example, standardization or email or what we are doing in terms of condition monitoring, some success cases from different factories implementing spare parts management, condition monitoring, and different things. So in that way, the people feels more engaged with the system. And on the other side is training. Training is super important.
Training them is so important.
We are doing like at least 2 or 3 times per year maintenance excellence bootcamp. Normally one in Americas, one in Europe, one in Asia.
Oh, so it's like a boot camp. So you bring people together, and how long is it? Is it a couple of weeks, or is it like a week?
It's a full week.
Full 1 week.
One week,
incredible.
Where we cover all the maintenance excellence 10 systems, very in deep with practical cases. We go to the factory, we do all the process of autonomous maintenance, step 1, 2, and 3.
Amazing.
In the reality, so the people feels the tool, how to use it, and then the same we do with preventive maintenance and a lot of case studies. And it's a way of continuously onboarding people to the system. So then the people, they are on board, they use it, and then it's easier to keep the track on what is happening.
It's like momentum, isn't it? If you are regularly meeting up every single year, people don't forget then. People are kind of almost ingrained within the culture and making sure. And when you're reinforcing the case studies and the success stories, I mean, I think that's a really good thing that you kind of mentioned as well within your presentation. It's the success stories that get people excited. The things that may have worked really well in one place and bringing that centrally and seeing what the value is and what the value is to your workers and your customers. I think that's really valuable, and I really like the way that SKF really promote and champion the training element and make sure that's a priority. Without that, I had a really great conversation with Joe earlier about the reliability stuff, and we really leaned into relationships, training, and trust. And it's almost like most kind of reliability conversations that I have, a lot of the time, that is the vocal speaking point of where we need to be. Is do we trust our people? Do they trust us? Do we know that we're moving to the right direction with what we're doing? And I really am inspired by the way that SKF and that story you guys have really pulled together. And, the presentation the other day was just absolutely incredible. As we talk, as you're in different countries and the different culture kind of differences, did you ever feel at any time that some places were a lot further behind than other places? And what did you do to ensure that you was moving everyone together at the same time? Because I assume some factories probably were in a position to move a lot faster, where others were take more time. How do you kind of make sure that one factory is not falling too far behind, and also you're not slowing down the process of the other factories waiting for other factories? How did you kind of manage that kind of gap? And did you kind of have to move and have different strategies to do that?
Yeah, to be honest, it's not easy because you have some factories that are going super fast. As I mentioned, we have factories that are already at the level of proactive or disruptive maintenance. So you can't stop that train. That train is already
it's gone.
It's already running. So you can't stop that. But the good thing is that you can use those examples to show to the other ones.
Yeah, of course.
And then of course some is like your children's. No, some children needs more support. So others goes alone.
Just run with it.
Yeah. They just run. So with the ones that are running very fast and it's like a train, then you let them be. They are going, no? They know what they are doing normally.
Of course, yeah.
The ones that are going slower, first of all, using the other ones as good examples and being closer to them. What do you need? Which is your pain point? What is not stopping you to continue progressing on the journey? And one of the biggest pain points that we was having the last years was about the CMMS.
That was one of the big roadblocks that stopped the progression moving forward.
Was a big point because, let me say, we had for several years another CMMS, and in some moment we stopped the installations of this CMMS. So we have, by one hand, factories that was using the old one, And other factories that they want to implement a new CMMS, or they have some local solution, but they want something more professional. And there was a lagoon in that time that nobody gets a CMMS. And then when we signed the contract with the eMaint and then we start to deploy, we already have like 5 or 6 factories in the pipeline that they was waiting for more than 1 year.
Already waiting, yeah. So it already there's a delay there.
Yeah.
They're moving forward, yeah.
Yeah, already waiting. So they was really eager to implement the CMMS, and the CMMS, of course, is part of the system, but can also leverage a lot of things that we want to improve. Just take an example, spare parts management.
Of course, it's so vital, isn't it? Especially when you've got so many moving, especially for SKF in terms of the way you guys manufacture. I assume you guys have lots of moving parts to make a bearing. You've probably got lots of assets, and understanding what spare parts you need is probably critical to your business, because at any point, if you lose something that is critical, you could potentially suffer that downtime and your availability is going to obviously reduce. So how did you manage to be able to get that done quickly? Did you have to kind of, for that year period of time when there was delayed with the CMMS system, how did you get over that kind of constraint? It must have been very difficult.
It must
have been a headache.
Yeah, it was a headache for the factory. Some factories, they took the decision of start working with something homemade.
Yeah, of course. Just in the meantime, so they can track it.
Just in the meantime. But when we implement, there was the priority, of course, and we started with them. There was first, like 4 or 5 factories that they was really, really eager to implement the CMMS. Was a moment in time. Now it's another story. We are now implementing eMaint in all the factories, and yeah, they are able to improve in all the aspects where the CMMS gives the ability. No?
Oh, that's amazing. When we talk about reliability, obviously new talent is emerging. We need to get new younger engineers in that understand the technology. We really spoke in the Thought Leadership Day about this kind of new gap and this skills gap that we've got coming into the future. And obviously, you know, the need and requirement to probably produce more bearings more reliably is extremely important. With a bit of an aging workforce that have all this talent and understanding with reliability and have all of that really good proactive nature and thinking, how do we move forward and ensure that all of that knowledge is captured for the younger generation coming into SKF, or the guys that are coming in, are ready and prepared for the new world that's coming?
Well, first of all, we have a really, really strong database of training.
Wow.
We have a lot of, and the good thing with SKF and that we have the ability of giving training in most of the countries where SKF is present.
Yes. Okay.
So we have a really strong database of training. By one hand, everything related to reliability. If I give you the list of trainings that the SKF has for reliability, is crazy.
I can imagine.
So,
I mean, even the vibration stuff they had at the time and the resources that I had available was incredible. You know.
Yeah. So having that training database is super important for us, for the new generations, no, and putting those guys that are starting faster on track on what we need and what we are using in the company and the industry. On the other hand, we more likely use the people that has a lot of experience for training as well.
Oh, okay.
So the guys that are more trained, they have a lot of experience. We are using them. They normally, when you are an expert, you want also to share your experience, your knowledge. So the guys are also giving trainings and supporting my team. It's not my team. The team where I'm working, the SKF production system team, is a bunch of guys that has a lot of years and years of experience in manufacturing.
Yeah, okay? Of course, yeah.
So there are some guys that are experts in 5S, some guys that are experts in standardized work, value stream mapping, maintenance excellence. So you have all these guys that are super experts in different fields of manufacturing that are giving the trainings to the people in the factories. Yeah, so that is a good way of keeping the knowledge inside. And then we have also a really well-structured subject matter experts standardization for each one of the tools that we have in SPS, for example.
Okay.
So you start by being a novice, then you are a generalist, then you are an expert, and then you expand your knowledge by doing different trainings, also it's not only by going to the training and attending a training, it's also how do you implement that
Yeah, how
knowledge.
do you actually do it?
So for the case of maintenance, it's a requirement. For example, for being generalist, that you need to implement maintenance excellence at least in a pilot area in your factory. Okay, and then in some way, of course, you have the theoretical knowledge, but you need to implement it. If not, it's not.
You're not going to be able to make it work and all the rest of it. How important it is, you've got a great team at SKF, and how important it is, though, to have people that are really in tune with the vision, with what you want as the outcome. Because obviously when it comes down to reliability and maintenance and manufacturing, a reliability mindset is a slightly different mindset to maintaining something.
Yeah.
To be able to be a reliable thinker or thought leader, you've got to be able to have a kind of different perspective. Did you have any trouble with translating that perspective across country to country? Or was it a very much, oh, we get this, we're really bought into it, let's go? How much resistance did you have? And if there was any resistance, what tactics did you use to get people to see reliability in a different way than what maintenance is?
Yeah, first of all, something that is happening in the factories, and we are not forcing from the central team, is some factories, they are changing the name of maintenance department to reliability engineering.
Yes, it's such a, and I think this is the thing that we're finding in the industry right now. It's that even that change of name is going to change the way people think of the way they do it. And I think, just by you guys doing that, you're already forward thinking about how do we actually change the narrative of what reliability is to actually be implemented within the plants, to be able to be sustainable and make sure that this is a philosophy that stays forever. You know what I mean? It's so very impressive from you guys.
Yeah, something that we encourage a lot of the factories is to create a vision. Okay, we have a vision. SKF has a vision, general vision. Then every factory has a vision. But we are encouraging the guys in the factories to create the maintenance or reliability engineering vision.
Yeah.
So which is your vision for the next 5 years? What you are thinking? How you think that you can be more sustainable, more reliable, more aligned to new technologies? So only by that, by thinking in the vision, then they are aligned on, they are seeing what will happen in 5 years. So as well that we are speaking a lot about, if you see we have a lot of polls when we do the community meetings, and the people is asking continuously about maintenance 4.0, artificial intelligence, condition monitoring, implemented augmented reality. So all that stuff, that technology things that are coming, people are eager to learn.
Oh, I could imagine. I mean, and as well, because you guys were such early adopters of the condition monitoring systems, how much of that been a huge advantage for you to be able to implement yourself because you already have the knowledge? And it must have been a huge plus for you that you guys have been doing that right for a very long time as early. How did that give you the competitive advantage over your competitors?
Well, the big advantage is that you have all the knowledge in-house.
Yeah, it's all there already.
Yeah, it's all there. And I remember when I was maintenance manager in the factory, I have my colleagues from reliability engineering that they was giving services. They was across the street in the same area.
And they were available.
So
yeah.
I go there and say, guys, I have a problem here in one machine. Can you come with a microlog and measure because we don't know what's happening?
And it's such a cool thing because ultimately you create bearings, but you've got machines with bearings in that create the bearings. The whole thought process is actually really kind of.
Of course, and the machine that are making bearings, vibrations is super important because you want to have a perfect bearing.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing as well with, obviously, when we're looking at OEE and we're looking at effectiveness, the three main metrics there is obviously availability and how often you're running. The other one is how quickly can you make it. But probably the more important one for you is actually the quality, in terms of you don't want a single defect in a single bearing because that is going to obviously really kind of affect the quality in the name and obviously affect the whole selling point of obviously SKF is you're reliable. You can rely on the bearing. When you buy an SKF brand, you put that bearing in. If you install it the right way, the idea is that bearing should last for very long times and all the rest of it. How do you even in-house? You must have to take extreme measures in terms of defect elimination and understanding any quality checks. What do you do to maintain that? I mean, the standard must be so high.
Yeah, for SKF, normally in the production lines, we have a lot of control machines, and those control machines are normally critical in terms of reliability. So we control, not because our machines that are oftenly failing, are machines that requires certain types of controls to keep the quality. SKF selling the best bearings in the world. If you go to buy a bearing and you ask for SKF, you know that is reliability for your car.
100%, yeah.
Wherever you will put that bearing, so that is your confidence in our brand. We need to continue performing this really good level of quality. So to have this good level of quality or high level of quality, first of all, control machines are super important. So
measures is what you're measuring, yeah.
Yeah, where we are measuring the bearings, vibration, the noise, etc., super important. For most of the factory, or to not say all the factories, these machines are A machines. So we are doing a lot of controls because these machines are really, really important. Of course, process machines are important as well because you are producing there, no?
Yeah, but you've got to kind of balance out because as well, obviously you want to be able to make more, which is kind of the performance, but you don't want to sacrifice the quality. So I can imagine there's a bit of a push and pull there because obviously, the reliable name of the business is so reliant on making sure there's no defects after that's been created. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a really interesting kind of conversation with, especially the fact that you guys make bearings. It's like, how do you mitigate that?
As well that we make bearings, we also give services and we have all this portfolio of condition monitoring.
Yeah.
And then implementing that in the factories, being the same family is easier.
I can imagine that's such an advantage for you guys as well, because now you don't have to rely on any third party to produce that, or you've got all the knowledge in-house about to do that to extremely high levels, and the higher levels than most people could probably come in and give you, if that makes sense as well. So that married with the maintenance excellence is a really, really key focus, right? Because you've got obviously your maintenance and you've got the way that's organized and strategized, but you've also got this condition monitoring, which is such an important and integral part, but done in such a high quality that allows you guys as well to actually learn and implement that even for other customers, I suppose, out in the field as well, because you do more than just make bearings. Do you know what I mean? And I think obviously SKF is known for bearings. It's such an integral thing, but I do think and believe that a lot of people, don't realize that you guys do quite a lot of things. It's not just bearings that you make.
We make, if everything related with rotation, okay? In fact, one of the new leitmotif for SKF is less friction, okay? So less friction means everything for us because less friction means less consume,
less wear,
energy, less waste, less more efficient machines. So, but SKF is also manufacturing seals that is incorporated to the bearings, and we manufacture lubrication systems.
Yeah.
So the lubrication systems are always a part of the bearing, no? So where you have a bearing, you have a lubrication system, unless that you have a sealed bearing. But in general, for big machines, you need the lubrication system. So we are manufacturing one of the biggest manufacturers of lubrication systems also in the world.
Yeah, of course. And I think a lot of people forget about that element as well. And obviously as well for you guys, how important is R&D and innovation? Because I think a lot of people don't realize and, understand that you guys are looking for the next level. How do we make the bearing a little bit more efficient? I remember there was a pilot project for one of our particular customers very many moons ago when they went from kind of the standard greasable bearing in food factories to seal for life bearings that had a lot better sealing arrangements. The return on investments with them companies when they did that was a ridiculous amount of money in terms of what they did. They didn't have to lubricate. There was no chance to over or under lubricate. And, in most cases, what we did is nearly 4 or 5 times the life of that particular bearing. And if you could imagine that across hundreds of thousands of bearings, one of these pilot projects was great. How much work and effort goes in behind the R&D at SKF as well? I mean, obviously, to be able to create something like that, a lot of minds need to be pulled together. How important is R&D for you guys?
R&D is, I think, one of the most important. If you speak about bearings, you say, a lot of bearings are like commodities, no? But SKF is selling a lot of customized bearings for special applications
as well. Yeah.
We are speaking about, you saw the presentation yesterday. We are speaking about bearings.
Yeah.
NASA. Okay.
I know this is like
Formula One
reliability and how important that is.
I can tell you some stories of special bearings. I'm not an R&D guy, okay? I'm more a maintenance guy in the factory, not supporting the factories. But if you see, for example, the development that SKF has made with the ceramic ball bearings.
Yeah, that's another really cool concept as well.
Ceramic ball bearings are super important for electric cars.
Yeah, definitely.
So SKF improved and developed all the manufacturing of balls on how the bearings should be and to avoid the electrical current going. You are a reliability guy, so you know what happened when you have a electrical current in electrical motor between the inner ring and outer ring, no?
Of course, yeah, we've had huge failures within our industry, and we're now getting to the root cause of them problems as well and trying to understand exactly what's causing it. And sometimes it's very difficult to mitigate. So sometimes these solutions like ceramic ball bearings are sometimes the only option for customers, which can save them so much in terms of downtime, depending on the machinery as well. So, it's even stuff like that for me is incredible, because what I love about it is that we don't accept the fact that failure's there.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to engineer another solution to be able to overcome some of these problems. And what I like about that is resilience to industry and testing, because we know it might be a hard task, but SKF are up for the challenge. We need to find out the solution, and we need to do that through good R&D and good people and good passion for what we do. You know what I mean?
You know that SKF manufactures also bearings with the ceramic balls, but for spindles.
Spindles, yeah.
And those bearings are running at 40,000, 50,000, 60,000 RPMs. And that bearings are, I was a user of that, because in the factory we use spindles. And yeah, that bearings are crazy.
Especially nowadays in spindles and stuff like, and CNC machines and all of these applications now that also innovate in the world that we manufacture things now. And some of the things that we weren't able to do now with machinery is now possible. But that's the thing, the technology obviously it is there, but we also need to make sure that the bearings that house these things are able to be sustainable and match up to what you're doing. So one thing I really loved about your presentation is that this is forever. It's limitless. There's going to be new technologies emerging, and you need to be at the forefront of thinking about what's happening 5-10 years down the line. It seems obviously from the presentation how innovative SKF are. Look into the future. How do you visualize what's happening? How do you stay ahead of the game?
Related to manufacturing reliability and maintenance, let me say in general, if you go and see this particular topic in our factories, first of all, investing in technologies, investing in development. Also having good partners, okay? Having good partners, I think, for example, Fluke with the CMMS is a really good partner for us in terms of technology and what is coming for the future. And we can start speaking about taking data from the sensors and triggering work orders automatically and start to think about prescriptive maintenance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Important though is like collaboration, because I think a lot of the time people always want to, well, we can do it ourselves and we can do that, but I think what we also got to do is be able to work together sometimes to get to the solution, and I think collaboration is so underrated. I don't think many people really consider it, and I think maybe we have to take the egos out and say, how do we work together to get both parties higher than where we need to be?
Yeah, sure. And also, of course, there are some other developments related to artificial intelligence, to machine learning, that we are learning as well in the same time, developing solutions for the factories to be more reliable, to implement different technologies, to support also. One of the biggest leitmotifs, or let me say vision, to implement the eMaint and change the CMMS was this: how can we make the life of the technicians that are in the forefront in the field repairing the machines easier?
Easier, yeah, of course, yeah.
So all that stuff, everything that we are implementing or we are thinking about for the future is we are thinking on how to be more reliable and make the life easier also for the guys that are working in the factories.
Oh, amazing. I could talk to you all day, Pablo. You have so much energy. You're so passionate about what you do. Honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure hearing your stories about how you've implemented this. One last question for the viewers. If you were to give one piece of advice for someone who's in a similar role trying to implement a good maintenance strategy and maintenance excellence and reliability, what would it be?
Let me say, if you already have the system and you already know what you are doing, we are humans. The more important part is communication and contact with the people and hear what they need to say.
And what they need, yeah, wow.
If we think that we are we engineers, we tend to be in this engineering cloud, that we think that we solve everything with the computer. No. You need to be in the gemba. You need to be in the shop floor with the guys there.
You need to be there, connected, feeling it.
Feeling what's happening.
Being with them and solving the problems together.
You can have the most perfect system in the world, but if you are not with the people and the people is not buying, it's worthless.
Wow, what a way to end the podcast. Pablo, thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate your presence, buddy.
Big pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you, Pablo.
Thank you very much.